Take me to see the voodoo queen, let the spell on me.
Guys like Willie and them, they're the ones that laid the tracks, you know? Like Guy Clark and Towns, I know they came here and wrote songs. Patty Griffin and Emmylou Harris, and you know, kind of follow in their footsteps and have somebody to look up to and see that there's another way of doing things, that you don't necessarily have to fit into the mold, you know, that it's okay to venture out and be yourself and be an individual and say what's on your mind and create the kind of music that you want to create, you know, and there is a possibility of finding a home for it, you know, no matter what anybody says. It wasn't until later on, until, you know, Margo Price and Sturgill Simpson and Jason Isbell and kind of all of these other bands started popping up around here, that, you know, actually kind of found some people that I felt like I kind of aligned with, you know, as far as maybe not only just musically, but just, you know, consciously.
Well, I've got crooked teeth, but true intentions. A real sound mind with slight demands.
I had heard her songs before, but I'd never seen her perform live. And then I saw a video of her playing drums and singing some songs, and I was like, damn, who's this badass, you know?
Sleep in a van, drink 40 ounces of Boone's Farm out of the can, and I tried living clean, but my mind's still dirty. I feel 53. I just turned 30, and the devil's in the details. The devil's everywhere, and if you turn your back on Jesus, really think he cares? Oh, people ask me where I'm going when I go away, but we're all going to hell, baby, if we don't change our ways. Take it, somebody.
I'm really more of an introvert in ways. Like I can get up on stage and I can play songs, and you know, a lot of the times I pull my hat down and I can kind of hide behind my hat and I can hide behind my song. But I've moved around so much to different places. Growing up, I always really struggled with kind of maybe a sense of an identity, and I think Now that I've gotten older, it's shaped me into who I am, and now I kind of write about all those things, you know, and it's the reason why I write the kind of songs that I write. So I'm always interested in if that was the same for other people, especially to meet other songwriters that I'm inspired by.
All high on power, they never get low. Their ivory towers, they own the pipelines and avoid paying taxes. The water gets poisoned while the president relaxes, and the middle class can't pay their bills, but without addiction, there wouldn't be pills or the devil's in the details. The devil's everywhere, and if you turn your back on Jesus Christ, you really think he cares? Oh, people ask me where I'm going.
You first meet someone and you hear a song, you hear them play, and you don't necessarily know exactly where that comes from. You interpret that story and however you can, whether it's an experience you've had yourself, but having the opportunity to sit down with her and really hear her story and what those songs were about and where they come from, it makes it that much more authentic and that much more genuine and that much more heartfelt.
I'd been here for, I think, only 6 months. I met him when I was 20 years old. Yeah, we met at a Belmont party where neither of us were going to school. I did say the first time that I met him, I shook his hand, and later I went into the bathroom with a girlfriend of mine, and I was like, I'm gonna marry that guy.
The classic, thing that you hear your parents say to each other or whatever, but it's true. I had no interest in that when I met her, but I do remember going over and shaking her hand, and I remember thinking her name was cool. It's like, oh, you're Margo,
The first time I heard him play, we both swapped songs, and I liked his words.
Yeah, I remember the very first tour ever you went on?
Oh yeah, it was
kind of like
Winnebago. We went 10,000
yeah.
miles in a Winnebago that we bought.
Yeah, he sold a Camry. We bought a Winnebago, and I had made this fake booking agency. We had a fake manager who we named John Sirota, and I booked the entire tour under a man's name.
Little button booking. That was a crazy tour, and we called the whole thing "Maybe We'll Make It," meaning like maybe the Winnebago won't shit out on us, and maybe we'll
make it
get
in
a
the
record
music
deal or
industry.
something.
Yeah.
But we also played like KOAs and we played in a parking lot on a beach.
That's what it takes, though, right? Like that kind of stuff.
After that whole run, which is our first time we were on the road, of course, called my parents from the West Coast. And like, well, you tried it. Might as well come
Didn't work.
home and get a real job. And I was like, man, you've got any idea if they had known that 14 years later I'd still be doing it. They thought they would let me go on this trip and that would be enough.
Yeah.
I was like, no, we're way too hungry for it than that.
We'd both been working dead-end jobs forever. Jeremy was always working kitchen jobs. I was waitressing. We had a kid. It's like, how long can we keep going out on these runs and like losing money? Mm-hmm. He's got footage of me going to pawn my wedding ring.
We were both done. Our band had failed. We almost got a record deal that fell through. We were exhausted with it. Going on tour and playing to nobody and playing in town to nobody. And she's like, I really would like to do this country record, but maybe we can just get some gear and do it in our basement or something.
And he's like, well, you got to do it right. We're going to need some money. I'm selling the car. I was like, that's a bad idea. But he didn't listen. He went down Gallatin Road. He went up to CarMax. He sold it, put everything in.
She was writing some of those songs, and they were really good. I really believed in her in that moment. I was thinking she was our only chance to get out of this trench,
about Hands in Time? Did you guys write that together?
That was all Margo. I could never, you know, I can write a lot from her point of view, but that was her. She had to do it. But that was one of those that was the reason I was like, you got to record this record. Like, this is different than what we were doing before, you know.
If you wouldn't have sold that car, then I'd still be waiting tables, most likely.
And I rolled out of town on the unpaved road. I was $57 from being broke. Kissed my mama and my sisters, and I said goodbye. And with my suitcase packed, I wiped the tears from my eyes.
And then, you know, the album was done. We were both so proud of it, and nobody wanted to put it out. I mean, we sent it to every small label. We sent it to big labels. I went in and had a meeting at a major label. It was like right after Stapleton and like Sturgill, they were doing their thing.
Yeah.
And I walk into the label, and it's just like a bunch of women like dripping in gold jewelry. I was like, you guys need the female equivalent to what these guys are doing.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, this is so cute. You're playing old school country music, but you're not a hillbilly. And I was like, well, you don't know that for sure. But you know, they passed on it. They said, man, we really love the record, but we've already got 2 females on our roster, so we just can't have any more women. And I have that email saved, and I will probably print it out one day and hang it on my wall along with all the other rejection letters that we got.
I had a hell of a time going there, let alone to be a woman and go there and try to do it with that such a male-driven business. I give Margo so much credit, and all the other women in that town that are sticking to their guns and writing the songs from their heart, you know, and not conforming to what, you know, everybody wants them to conform to.
Then I finally got word that Third Man wanted to hear it, and they put it out as is. I picked the album cover, you know. They never tried to change anything about who we were.
Started living off the land when the firstborn died, and I cried out to God, is there anybody out there looking down on me at all?
The stuff that she's writing about and the stuff that she's saying in her songs is a mix of all of her kind of personal things that she's gone through in her life that I think a lot of people are too insecure to talk about, you know, or write about that.
Does the personal stuff to help with like depression and things like that, of just songs and kind of getting stuff off your chest? That might just, I mean,
Totally.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like when I wrote Hands of Time, it was like I was writing about losing the baby, and you know, writing about my father and how he, you know, lost his farm, and it was a tough song to write, but I'm glad it's out there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like writing a letter to someone, whether you give it to them or not. It's like you get it off your chest, so you just feel better.
But I ain't got the breath to say another bad word. So if I ever said it wrong, would you forget what you heard? So all I wanna do is make something last, 'cause I know what I am, know what I have. I wanna buy back the farm, bring my mom home some wine.
The most rewarding thing is when, you know, somebody says like, you know, I was listening to Hands of Time, and like I lost a child too. Or that really.
Hearing how it's
Yeah.
making a difference in someone's life.
Yeah, it hits home, and I've actually like met a lot of parents who went through the same thing, and then talk, and I tear up every time.
I was from a real small town where we didn't have a lot of outside influence from the rest of the world. You know, my outlet to all of that were people like Bob Dylan, you know, and some of those songs where they were singing about things that other people weren't singing about on pop radio and stuff like that. And I think Margo's songs are going to do that, especially for young girls that are aspiring to be musicians and songwriters.
I guess I was around 11 or 12. Eighth grade graduation came, and my parents wanted me to buy a computer with my graduation money. And I went out and got a guitar. My uncle took me to go get my first guitar. It was a Samick. I still have it. It's a piece of crap.
Still got it?
Yeah.
And your uncle, he was a songwriter, right?
Yeah, he was. We would, come down to Nashville during the summer on family vacations, and I'd go to his house and look at his gold records up on the wall, and he had a cut with Reba and Tanya Tucker and Charlie Pride and George Jones. Yeah, when I first got to town, I remember my mom kind of thinking that will you go over to Uncle Bob's house and he'll just hook you up with the right people, and he knows everybody. So I go over to his house and played him a couple songs that I thought were really good, at the time. And I got done, I looked over at him, and he was just stone face, dead silence. I'm like, well, what do you think? He's like, this is what you gotta do. You gotta go home, you gotta get rid of your TV, you gotta get rid of your computer. You just gotta write, you just gotta keep writing. And I mean, he wasn't there was no compliment sandwich. It wasn't this is good, but this is bad, this is what you can work on. It was just, it was honest. And I went home and cried my eyes out, but I think that was the most useful advice. I moved in with my cousin to this little apartment in Antioch. I got a job at the mall. I got another job waiting tables at TGI Fridays, making shit money. And but I wrecked my car within the first month, and I was out in Antioch, and there was no public transportation, and so I was basically held hostage in this apartment, listening to Bob Dylan and Janis Joplin, and trying to figure out how to write songs, Yeah. And I remember going through the paper and seeing all the open mic nights, oh, I wonder if I can play one of those.
Woke up from a movie, I immediately forgot. Got a heartache on the bottom and a headache on the top. The part of me that hurts the worst is the one I just can't spot. And it's all
I think at that time I was so turned off by the country music scene that was going on here. I mean, I just didn't see myself fitting in that place. I was always too folk and country for the punk bands, but
and too rock and roll for the country
and
stuff.
So it was there was just no place for us. And my first record, it was more about the music industry and kind of the hurdles that you have to go through to get there. But I think there's a lot of people that just assume there's a lot of things that you can't say in songs, or they're not going to end up on the radio.
Long Midwest farms are turning into plastic homes, and my uncle started drinking when the bank denied the loan. But now it's liver failure and his mad cows being cloned, and it's all American.
I've been here for 15 years. And I mean, things were definitely different then, Of course, there was the mainstream thing in Music Row and, the CMAs and all that, but I just wanted to write songs for me.
In my bloodline.
We were just talking about grinding out on the road for so long, and it seems like
Totally.
this industry, you have to be like, they just try to get you to where you're just so desperate, you know, and if you can
you'll do anything,
if you can just hold out, you know, and not like cave into them, like if you're honest about kind of what you're singing about, it really doesn't matter what genre or whatever
Right,
it is,
doesn't
like that's
matter.
gonna kind of come through.
It took a while for the city to come around to what we were doing, but you can either roll over and cry about it, or you can fight it.
I think you can connect with her songs because she's honest about it. You know, she's not bullshitting you. You know, I think that you have to have that integrity and honesty in songs for people to relate. And that comes first, like the integrity of your songs and what you had to say come before the making a living and having a career and all of that stuff. Like if you ever have to compromise the integrity of the songs for your career or to please someone that's sitting behind the desk in corporate Nashville, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you know? And that's damn sure not what Margo's doing.
I mean, I was glad I stuck with my guns. I'm stubborn. I wouldn't have done it any other way.
Once I discovered the guitar and I found that I had the ability to play a few songs, and the whole process of writing songs and what it was about for me became my identity, and it gave me a sense of purpose in life. I just decided at some point that it was something I was going to do, whether I ever made a living at it or not.
All across this distant land, one thing's for sure, honey, hell, I'm gonna roll. Tell my mother I miss her so. Tell my mother I miss her so.
Like, I'm not writing a song about my mother passing away because I feel like I'm gonna sell 1,000 copies of my record because of it. You know, I'm writing that shit because I'm, you know, sad about losing my mother, and it's a way of dealing with all that and kind of talking about it. I feel like Margo's has a lot of that in her. Apparently she does, you know, the strides that she's made, you know, in her career so far and all the challenges that she's faced.
On the day before the day before the new year, the snow is falling on my prairie home. And I'm so far away from where I started. No closer to where I've been. trails have gone down for no reason. Just to learn that I can't leave myself behind. And the only devil I've seen is in the mirror. And the only enemy I know is in my mind.
You know, when I meet somebody like Margo and I know that she spent, you know, hundreds of miles out there in a broke down Winnebago and changing flat tires and busting her ass and playing roadhouses, and, you know, those are those things in moments where sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes or people you're a fan of, you know, because you don't know if they're necessarily the person that you think they are, but, you know, she is.
I don't take a second of it for granted. I've, worked so hard for it for years and years and years. I think try to keep that in the forefront of my mind. I'm always pinching myself when stuff like that happens.
Really learning to.
At the beginning, I never had very big intentions of really performing. Well, I was so insecure about everything, you know, and I try not to take that for granted anymore. You know, those young kids or people out there that are actually fans, you know, of songs. You know, they're connecting with whatever I'm saying, they're interpreting into their own story, and they have something that really means something to them. And I really try to think about that a lot when I'm writing songs, and I know that that's can possibly change somebody's life, you know, or help them get through something in some way. So I know Margo's songs are doing that for a lot of young girls and young boys out there as well. So we need more songwriters like her, and we need more songs written by people like her.
In disguise, won't you tell me how long must I pay off these dues? Won't you tell me? 'Cause winning, learning to lose. You said it, oh, but say that it's not true. It's winning, really learning to lose. And is winning, really